So we thought we'd give you an update on our sunflower planting. They grew, but they did not grow very tall. So today we're going to take some soil samples and see what we need to do. Back 4 years ago we took soil samples and we needed lime and fertilizer, and I imagine that we need to do the same. So here's what the flowers look like. They did grow in some spots, but they certainly did not grow higher than my knees. Literally, barely knee high. So the seeds germinated, but they just didn't grow, and they didn't grow. They're sporadic. So we're going to take a sample. Do you see all those pretty sunflowers? I measured them, they're up to my knees. But that's okay, we're going to have lime and fertilizer next year. Here's the milkweed we planted down here last year, and it came back. A whole lot of it. That's good. All right, there are soil samples, and we're going to put them in this box and send them off.
Okay.
1, 2, and hook. Okay, we got box sample number 1 ready to go. Let's go get 2 more samples from 2 different fields. Okay, heading to the next field. So to take soil samples, you just dig down subsurface and zigzag through the field you want.
6 to 8 inches down.
6 to 8 inches down. Zigzag through the field that you want the soil to be analyzed in to get random samples of the entire field. How much lime per 1,000 feet? They're pretty, but they're just very short. Well, the wildflowers did very well last year and so-so this year. But they certainly could use some fertilizer and some lime. Yeah, this farm has clay and sand. Yep. It's not a lot of loamy.
Anything growing.
And there's certainly no microorganisms or worms in there. We've had this field 3 years, but it just takes so long to amend the soil. Goldenrod that we don't want in here. Goldenrod will take over. Yep, dirt. All right, that's number 4 or 9.
It's on the bottom of the box. Side orchard.
Okay, there's the line. You mix up your soil. This one looks a lot more clay than the last field. There's some roots in there. But there's definitely no microorganisms. No nutrients here at all. Dry desert. We got some little flowers, but and the sunflowers didn't even perk over here. There's a little bit right there, and that's it. This is bad. This ground is pitiful. Hopefully we can fix it. All right, box number 3. Close 1, close 2, and then tuck it in. Taking our soil samples to the Ag Center, Halifax County, North Carolina. Let's see.
Good, how are you?
We've got a couple of things to do in the high tunnel this morning, so come along, I'll give you an update and tell you what we're about to complete. So this has been our first full year of having the high tunnel. It was built in June of last year, 2024. So last year at the end of June, I planted crops. Everything went great. They grew, they were luscious, and produced a ton of fruits and vegetables for us. So let's fast forward to this year. I did the same thing. I put my crops in May, but now it's July and it's hot. It's hot in here, it's hot outside. So this summer has been more, I'd say, typical of what a high tunnel season brings. So we are going with 2 rounds of fruits and vegetables because these, you can see, have run their limit. So I'm gonna take down today, these are my green beans I'm gonna put in. So today I'm gonna take down the last of the cucumbers because they're not producing anymore. There's no more flowers, they're tired. I'm gonna take up a lot of this grass and weed. I'm gonna leave the strawberries. You know, in the last video I was rooting the strawberries and they are coming along, producing roots right now. So I'm gonna leave those where they are. I'm gonna come through here and I'm gonna take out all these old zucchini and squash plants that are back there. The ones up here are fairly new. I just put those in, so they're still producing. So those I'm gonna take up. And then I'm also going to get compost in this bed and finish that out so that I can plant. So I've got new zucchini and squash plants and then the green bean plants. So the goal is to clean this up. The peppers are still okay, we're going to let them go. The celery still producing seed. This is an old cauliflower. I don't know that it's going to do much at this point. The grasshoppers are still on it. But we're going to get all this grass cleaned up and this bed refurbished. This is going well since the drip. And I'm also going to get this cleaned out. These tomatoes aren't producing anything. There are no flowers on them. They're just taking up space. And I've got, this one is producing something anyway. But you can see this, they're tired. These cantaloupes are looking strong, so I'm going to leave those. But everything else, I'm going to get out. And that's the goal for this morning. It's hot. It's going to be hot, so it's early. I'm trying to get as much of this done before noon as I can. So we'll video most of it and give you a look at the after, since the before is a little ratty. Been down to the compost pile and got my first wagon full of compost. I'm gonna probably get 2 more. Break this up so that I can mix in. Get one more load, and then I'll mix the garden soil on top of that. This side of the hill is very steep. Because we don't have any animals, we don't have chickens or anything out here, it's really difficult to make our own compost. I did worm composting and I did a video on that, but the worms don't break down seeds. And so then when you use that compost, you have, you know, tomatoes springing up or squash or whatever seeds were in that worm compost. So that's not a good way to, you know, delete the seeds. It's very rich compost, yes. So for the past 2 years, we've had to buy, you know, our compost. It works okay. It's not as, you know, good as animal compost is, but you do what you have to do, right? I might have to go the long way this time. All right, we've got number 2. I don't know if I'll use all of this. Let me save some. Good compost in here, mix it up with the field dirt. And right now that's all it is dirt. We're gonna try. Ooh, there is a black-widow spider right in that. Ooh, can you see it? Yikes. I tell you what, that is one thing that black-widow spiders like is this high tunnel. They will get in a bag or underneath this black landscape paper. So if you're using that stuff, beware. Those spiders will get up under. I don't mind the zipper spiders, but I do mind the black widows. And I may have to get a couple more bags to put on top. This is another little handy tool. I think we've shown it in one of our other videos, this Fiskars. And it's great for light projects. It's aluminum, the handle is, so it's very lightweight. Most tools are so heavy, and by the time you've worked your project through, you're exhausted. But these are great. I'm gonna run this soil through and then tap in. Gosh, spiders build webs in here quick. And then just tap in to the main line. Comes in a nice little spiral, but it gets jammed up really quickly. Just crazy to me. All right, let me get some stakes and try to stake it down. There we go. I've got the raised bed finished and the drip laid out, ready to assemble that. So what I'm doing now is taking down these old cucumber vines, and what I'm trying to do is save the infrastructure. So I'm saving as much of the string as I can, which means I just kind of cut it down as I go. Because when the vines were growing, when the cucumbers were growing, I would wind them up this string, and then the tendrils would catch on and grow. So they are wound around the, the infrastructure string, which is fine. So I have to kind of cut them off and unwind them to save the string. I wouldn't have to. I could cut them off up there, but I've got enough string that will probably last me 5 years or more if I save it as I go. So that's worth it to me. And then it's ready for the next set of cucumbers or tomatoes. I do vine up cucumbers, tomatoes, and cantaloupe, all three of those. And then if I ever get some pole beans going, I can vine those up too. I mean, I can wind those up also. Haven't had a lot of luck with pole beans. I'm growing now bush beans. That seems to work better for me, but I'd like to try to get some pole beans going. Maybe I just hadn't found the right variety. If you have any suggestions for me, I would appreciate it. Just leave them in the comments and let me know what variety you use, and if they're prolific, because it would be easy for me to put pole beans in here. I just haven't been successful at it. So I haven't given up, I'm not good at it. So I'm gonna untie the string from the bottom of this cucumber plant, and then I can save it and then get rid of that part, which is a win-win. very good. Glad to have those out. Okay, now I can continue to clean up this bed. Get this cleaned up and out. This one is a cantaloupe, and it does have a little cantaloupe, so I'm gonna let that continue. All right, let's clean this out. Okay, I've got the rows cleaned up, and I'm putting compost in on top so that I can mix it in. I still need to clean up my clippings and the grass and the weeds, but those are done, which is excellent. This cantaloupe, I'm gonna let, since it's at the end of the row, I'm gonna let it just grow. I'm gonna put out my last little bucket of compost, and then I'll be ready to blend in and plant what I've got ready to go. This is where I had a zucchini. So I've had to leave it sit for a while, a couple of weeks, to get rid of the squash bugs. So they're gone. I don't see any remnants of those. And I will mix this compost in. And I think I'm gonna start down here with the green beans and put some here and there maybe, since I haven't had any green beans on this side. My green beans, these are bush beans, so they're not gonna go up the pole. I'll take this stake out and mix this in. I think I've got, now that it's dripping down here very well. Tone in here. And we're going to plant. Started these at home, and they've got a good little root structure. One gone. I do like these silly seedlings, pots. I'm not affiliated, I'd love to be, but I do love them. Silly seedlings, they're made out of silicone. You just wash them, use them over. They're very sturdy, and they hold the moisture better than those plastic ones that you get. So I've been real pleased with them. I've got the green beans planted and I'm just watering them in. Yes, they're on drip, but whenever you plant any kind of plant, you need to water the roots in real well before any additional water. So I've got the hose out here and I'm just gonna get these seedlings a good start. I'm gonna also put some water in my strawberry starts from last week. They're doing real well. The green bean planting project is finished for today. I got all the green bean seedlings in and some of these lines tied up. I got these 2 rows weeded and I'll take out those extra, I'll take out all the extra material in just a moment. Well, I'm pleased to say that I finished what I had on my list of things to do for this weekend. I've got, let me turn you around and show you. I got these sides cleaned up, except for sweeping in the middle. I'll get that next time. So the beds have been weeded. I got the green beans planted in. The strawberries are rooting from last week. They're doing great. So they ought to be ready to plant maybe in a week or so. I will replace those. So I got all that done, which is very satisfying. Then I got this bed cleaned up and weeded, and I've planted new yellow zucchini. If you haven't tried that, try it. It's delicious. The only place in this bed I didn't weed was through here because we have 2 ginormous spiders. So I really don't want to get in there. Got this bed micro tubed and ready, and I will plant beets in that next week so I can get 2 flushes of beets going. I've planted some more dill. So yes, I'm pleased that we got this much done in 2 days. These squash plants are still thriving, so we're going to let them continue to go. So, looks great. See you next week.